into a pot of boiling water. He pours an entire bag of sugar. And just like that,
This is what we do to a cat!
you get one of the most terrifying weapons in prison. Anyone hit with it can be permanently disfigured on the spot. Some inmates can't handle the psychological pressure of prison life. They carve cuts into their own bodies, using pain to calm the panic inside their minds. On his very first day behind bars, Mark witnessed this horrifying scene. He froze in fear. While trying to comfort his cellmate, he repeatedly slammed the emergency alarm button. Not long afterward, several officers wearing helmets and carrying shields stormed into the cell and dragged the panicking inmate away by force. The sight terrified 50-year-old Mark. But 2 days passed, and his cellmate still hadn't returned. Then one day, Jono from the cell across the hall suddenly walked in and took a bag of sugar that belonged to the missing inmate. Always trying to do the right thing, Mark spoke up on his cellmate's behalf. He reminded Jono that he shouldn't take someone else's belongings without asking first. Unfortunately, Jono was already in a bad mood.
I tell you what, mate, your card's marked.
And the sugar wasn't for eating. He dumped the entire bag into a kettle of boiling water. Then he carried the scalding syrup out of the cell and threw it into the face of an enemy next door. Only then did Mark realize he had picked a fight with the wrong man. At the next meal, Jono stole the chicken right off Mark's tray. The first time, Mark let it slide. But later, while waiting in line to make a phone call, Jono cut in and took the phone from him. He wasn't just stealing Mark's place in line. Each inmate only had limited phone time. Watching everyone around him pretend not to notice, Mark finally tried to take the phone back.
Give me the soft. Give me the soft or I'll snap you, Joe.
But he still didn't want to escalate things. So once again, he backed down. When he returned to his cell, his roommate had finally come back. Mark assumed his mental health issues had improved. But that night, his roommate swallowed all the medication he had been secretly hoarding. Mark noticed him convulsing and immediately hit the emergency alarm.
Get in here!
Immediate assistance.
The guards arrived outside the cell, yet refused to open the door right away. They waited for backup to arrive first. By the time they finally entered and began trying to save him, it was too late. Mark's cellmate died right in front of his eyes. The next day, while talking to his son on the phone, Jono stole the phone from him again.
Hey. Hey, give it me back. Give me that back, please.
This time, Mark had enough. He stood beside Jono, shouting into his ear non-stop, so he couldn't finish the call either. Jono responded with a punch. Blood immediately poured from Mark's nose. Everything that happened was witnessed by another inmate named Paul. He couldn't understand why Mark never fought back.
I'm a teacher. Fucking teacher.
Mark explained that he used to be a teacher. He believed he should set a civilized example. And one day, things finally started to change. A fierce-looking inmate named Calf approached Mark. After hearing that Mark had once been a teacher, Jono came looking for trouble again. He and his friends poured a bottle of pine oil onto Mark's feet and were about to set them on fire. Luckily, Mark's new cellmate arrived in time. Otherwise, Mark would have suffered even more. Mark knew things couldn't continue like this. But Paul told him, getting rid of Jono would be easy. The real question was, what would he do when the next bully came along? Hearing that, Mark finally understood. Paul promised to keep Jono's cellmate occupied. But right after the fight, his elderly parents happened to arrive for a visit. Not wanting them to see his battered face, Mark asked a guard to cover for him. Disappointed, they left. What Mark didn't know was that he had just missed his final chance to see his father alive. Sure enough, after the cellmate left, Mark discovered a hidden cell phone. If guards found it, Mark could be punished too. That night, while tutoring Calf, he casually brought up the situation.
Drugs, weapon, phone.
He advised Mark to throw the phone away immediately. But Mark didn't do that. Instead, he confronted his cellmate and told him he knew about the phone. He urged him to get rid of it. His cellmate promised he would. The next day, his mother told him she wanted him there. 3 days later, Mark received special permission to attend the funeral under escort. After completing a series of security checks, he boarded a transport vehicle and arrived at the prison gates. Then, at the very last moment, the alarm suddenly sounded. The gates closed again. Just moments earlier, guards, as someone connected to the investigation, Mark immediately lost his right to leave.
You just found a phone in your cell?
A phone?
Yeah.
You told me you got rid of it.
He signed that the prison
Do you or do you not owe me one?
but under relentless pressure and threats, he finally agreed. A few days later, Mark walked out of prison alone and boarded a train to the conference. It was during this speech that we finally learned why he was incarcerated. While driving home, he struck a pedestrian. Instead of calling for help, he drove away and went home. His wife quickly realized something was wrong.
What's wrong?
Just killed someone.
After learning the truth, sadly, the victim had died instantly. As he listened to the victim's family curse him, Mark never tried to defend himself. In fact, he accepted a longer sentence. Because he believed prison was the only way to atone for his sins. But the accident replayed endlessly in his nightmares. A constant reminder that some guilt can never truly be erased. So he decided to spend the rest of his life trying to keep young people from making the same wanted redemption. He couldn't keep breaking the law. People have to take responsibility for the things they say. So on the way back, even after reaching the location Paul had given him, he made the right choice. He walked away. Of course, he knew exactly what would be waiting for him in inmate uniform. It turned out, his involvement in smuggling drugs for Paul had finally been exposed. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Yet Mark still believed the man was fundamentally decent.
You're a good officer. Firm but fair. Yeah. Thanks.
Everyone carries burdens that others cannot see. But prison taught him something very different. In there, weakness is the original sin. Everyone will think you're the easiest target, and the truth is, that lesson doesn't apply only to prison.